the cross-examination sila. They will have 5 minutes each, mainly to ask questions lang. Siguro iwasan lang natin na mag-argue, sumbatan na. I believe naman na hindi naman kayo gano'n kasi mga tao. So, alam niyo naman paano yung cross-examination nag-work. So, let's start with the atheism side, Sir Mar. So, Sir Mar, please ask questions kay Sir Mark Steven.
So, Mark Steven, ang ating question kasi is the Aristotelian argument makes the belief that God exists is reasonable, no? So, well, dinefine mo yung reasonable bilang, teka, hugutin ko lang yung notes ko dito. Dinefine mo dito yung reasonable as parang true, no? Or comporting with reality. Teka. Ngayon, ini-interpret ko yung sinabi mo, no, as parang deductive, no? So kung lahat ng premises nung Aristotelian argument is true, then we have no choice but to say that God exists, no? Pero para magawa mo yon, you have to answer the issue of hard solipsism, no? The principle na paano mo nasisigurado na ikaw ay nag-e-exist talaga at hindi isang ano lang, brain lang, no? So sa madaling salita, let's use the matrix argument, no? So how can you disprove the idea na itong lahat ng universe natin, lahat ng na-experience natin is just a simulation in the matrix, tapos the matrix itself is created by infinite beings na hindi nagsusunod sa conventional physics and logic natin, no? How do you eliminate that? And therefore, how can you say na God is the only answer kapag ino-consider mo yung Aristotelian argument?
Okay. So the question is, what if the universe in actuality is a simulation? Is that it? So if it is a simulation, and maybe it does not follow the laws that we observe in the universe. Okay, so I will respond to that by this, that even in that case, the principle of sufficient reason cannot be denied. No?
Pre, paki-expound also, yung principle of sufficient reason para maintindihan natin.
So the principle of sufficient reason says that everything has an explanation either in the necessity of its own nature or in something else. No? Mm-hmm. So the point that I'm trying to raise is that in such a universe, since the PSR would be true, and the principle of causality is built on PSR, so if PSR is true, then we have good grounds to say that the principle of causality is true. Then the principle of causality would still apply in that world. No? In that world, in any kind of possible world whatsoever. And in such a world also, change would still occur. No? Change would still occur. In a simulation, change is necessary. Things in the simulation change. Therefore, the argument still works in that case. So, I would contend that the argument would still work even in a universe that is simulated. And as I said, it is irrelevant whether it is infinitely old or not. So that would be it. Maybe you want some clarification?
Hindi, ang sinasabi ko kasi dito is kung tayo ay nasa isang simulation, no? And yung law of physics natin, yung apparent scientific principles natin, and yung mismong law of logic themselves is a simulation also, no? And then outside that simulation, mapupunta ka ngayon sa isang outside universe wherein the law of physics themselves and the law of logic themselves are entirely different, no? And so I can also argue na doon sa outside universe na yon, hindi niya sinusunod yung law of causality. So paano mo pa rin yun matatanggal yung ganong possibility para masabi mo that the only explanation can only point to God?
Okay, so I'd like to focus on the laws of logic, no? Laws of logic. The laws of logic are violated in that outside world, then the principle of the laws of physics would also follow. They would also not be true in that. So the problem of that suggestion is this: that such a world would be internally coherent. No? It would involve contradictions within itself because the laws of logic are violated in that case, diba? The law of non-contradiction uh, would be violated in, but it would be very unreasonable, I think, if you go against the very the very possibility for it to exist would not be actualized because such possibility does not even exist. Why? Because it would involve possibility. It would involve self contradictions. So I would say that such a world could not in principle exist.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
logic, a world, uh, so that would pose no problem to the argument. No? It would still uh, the thesis that the argument provides reasonable belief, makes belief in the existence of reasonable, it's still intact. Even with that suggestion, I think
Yeah, pero
my
Mark Steven, hindi ka pa rin hindi mo pwedeng i-appeal yung conventional logic natin eh. Kasi yung conventional logic natin is built upon this universe. Sige ito, itanong ko sa iyo. Do you think that logic is contingent on human beings? By logic, I
no,
mean logical laws. The law of logic.
logical lot. Okay, as to the question kanina, no? I was I don't see why that is not a fallacy of an appeal to ignorance.
Okay.
As to the first point kanina. So as to, can you repeat the recent question?
Yun nga. Sa tingin mo ba, Mark Steven, na yung logic natin is contingent or dependent sa existence ng human beings? Shall we say, if human beings did not exist, meron pa ba tayong laws of logic?
Okay. Yes, yes. Because before the universe, before even the Earth came to be, no? Before even men or human beings came to be, the universe was already operating, no? Operating under the laws of logic. The mathematical regularities that are behind the mechanisms of how the world works presuppose the laws of logic. No?
No, teka,
They already
magdi-disagree ako doon,
before.
Mark Steven. Kasi tawag dito, ang sinasabi kong laws of logic is our description of reality, no? Hindi yung reality itself. So I can argue that reality itself will continue to exist kahit pa walang human beings. What I am saying here is that yung laws natin, yung descriptions natin ng reality, would it still exist kahit pa walang human beings themselves to describe it? Kasi ang isa pang sinasabi ng Big Bang cosmology natin is at t is equal to 0, our conventional law of science, math and logic ceases to exist. Hindi ceases to exist. Hindi natin ma-apply yung math, science and logic natin doon sa t is equal to 0, no? So nagbe-breakdown siya, hindi siya nagme-make sense, no? Which is ang punto ko dito is that yung description natin ng laws of physics, the laws of physics themselves are only descriptive, no? Hindi siya prescriptive. So kaya ko sinabi yung possibility na nasa the matrix tayo and outside of that iba na yung laws of logic natin. Therefore, you cannot dismiss that and say na God lang ang sagot sa argument mo.
Okay, so sir,
Okay.
Sir Mar, tapos na yung time mo for questioning.
Okay,
And
sige.
it's up to Sir Mark Steven kung i-address pa niya rin ba yung sinabi mo. But of course, gamit na niya yung time niya for na 5 minutes. And yeah, it's time for Sir Mark Steven na mag-ask ng questions to Sir Mar. Let's go.
Okay, so I just think that it is an impossible hypothesis that there exists a world wherein there are contradictions within it, because what we describe as laws of logic, they're not just constructs that are not grounded in reality. Because why do we describe it that way rather than another way? Yes, because we abstract things which we recognize are true in reality. So my first question, Sir Mar, would be this: back to the analogy. Would the water in the cup, be able to stay on that place above the water, above the table? I mean, if the ground would cease to exist?
No, magbe-breakdown siya.
No. Okay. So that is an analogy of the existence of the universe itself. No? Would the universe itself remain in existence if there is something, there's no thing that is already actual that actualizes it, or anything that changes? Let me rephrase the question this way: would anything that changes still exist, continue in existence, if something to actualize it would not exist?
Ang point ko nga dyan is that yung unactualized actualizer would still need an actualizer kung gusto mong gamitin
Okay.
yung ganong klaseng logic pa din.
My question is it so or not? Would the universe, would anything in the universe persist in existence if an actualizer is not concurrently actualizing it? Yes or no?
I don't know the answer to that. Kulang pa ng data para sagutin ko 'yon.
Why? Because the existence of anything is purely potential, diba? Unless something actualizes it.
Okay.
I'm not saying that actualizing has to be pretty actual. No, I'm asking whether something has to exist which actualizes its existence at any moment that it exists. No, is it true?
Ulit.
Does anything that undergoes change, no? That anything, does that the existence of that thing persist if something that is not already actualizes it at any moment that it exists?
All the things that we know of follows that rule. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So if you say that, okay, yes. So that actualizer of that thing either has to be purely actual or not. You say not, diba? I said earlier in one of the premises we have a disjunction. Either that is a purely actualizer or it is not. What has been contended is this, no? The question, my next question: would such actualizer, if it is also actualized, so there has to be a regress of actualized actualizers, diba?
Yes.
Do we need a first actualizer that actualizes the entire series for the S, no, the substance to exist? Does there have to be a first cause which is unactualized?
No, we don't. It is an unsubstantiated assumption based on our ignorance of the whole universe, no. Yun nga, uulit tayo dun sa black swan fallacy dahil nga lahat ng nakikita natin has to have an actualizer, pero the universe itself, we just cannot say, we just don't know.
Okay, so you're not sure. Okay, you're not sure. As to, we go back to the analogy, no. At the moment that the water is in that place, it is actualized. No, it is actualized, but an actualizer, which is the table, which is in turn actualized by the ground. Would the water exist in that way, in that location, if the ground would not be there to hold it at any moment?
The immediate actualizer will still do its job of actualizing the water, no. Hindi mo siya pwedeng i-equivocate doon sa mismong beginning ng actualization, no. So yung sa tubig, and then the one who actualizes it can be an isolated event, pero yung the beginning itself pwede siyang maging non-actualized, pwede siyang maging actualized. The point is, who knows? Hindi mo siya pwedeng i-deduce without looking from the ground up, without having an outside perspective of the universe.
Okay, given that question, given that answer, I think I have to push back, to push further, no? The question, which is this:
Sige.
at the moment that the water exists, no, at any moment. So let's say it has already been actualized in the past. That the hydrogens and oxygen, no, that have already done the necessary process for it to become H2O, which is water. So given that it is already water, would it persist as water? No, as water. Would its existence persist as water if there is no actualizer of its existence at any moment that it does exist as water?
Yes, yes.
So it would continue without an actualizer.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's the question. Okay. So you have come to the view of existential inertia. No. So the problem with that is this. No? The water. Let me ask you a question. No? Can the water exist if its parts, its physical parts, maybe its microstructure of of water? No, we do not have to elaborate as to what that is. Would the water continue in existence if its parts, its microstructure, were not actual? Okay.
That would be your last question, Sir Mark Steven. It's up to Sir Mark kung i-answer niya na.
Hello, hello. Ayun, ayun.
Hello?
Sa the
Okay, Sir
point,
Mark?
pwede kong i-expound
Yeah,
yung
Sir Mark,
sa
that
yes,
was
yes.
Mark Steven's last question.
At na ano ba yung timer? Can I address that?
Okay, go on.
O hindi na? Closing na.
Yeah, okay. Okay na, open discussion na tayo ngayon.
Sige, sige, sige.
And kaya sa mga viewers natin, send na kayo ng questions. Nahihiya yung iba sa inyo kasi baka babasahin ko yung names nyo. Of course, di ko babasahin yung names nyo. Basta legitimate na yung question nyo. Sa tingin ko may sense. Of course, babasahin at saka i-ask ko sa ating mga discussers. Pero sa huwag kayo maya, alright? So,
Moderator,
ngayon,
naka-con ka na ba
muna
ng
tayo.
mga question? Naka-collect ka na ba ng mga primary questions?
Parang troll ng to ibang questions dito eh. So, naghihintay ako parang yung may sense na
Tay tayo
may
dyan.
sense na questions eh.
Sige, habang nag-aantay
Yeah.
ka, i-address ko muna yung yung kay Mark Steven, no?
Oh, of course, open discussion po.
Yung sa
Pwede ka magtanong.
sige, sige. Yung sa water, Mark Steven. Pwede ko bang i-expound 'yon by saying, 'di ba, the water is on the table. Tas kumaga, sabi natin it has the potential to evaporate, no? Tapos yung potential to evaporate is caused is actualized by, sabi natin, the heat of the sun, no? Tapos yung the heat of the sun is actualized by the nuclear fusion sa loob ng atoms. Tapos yung heat na kinreate ng nuclear fusion is actualized by the weak nuclear force, no? And therefore yung weak nuclear force na yun is actualized again by the subatomic particles na na-create nung sa Big Bang. Ngayon, doon sa creation na yon sa Big Bang, when T equals to 0, ang sinasabi ko dito is that we do not know. But that doesn't mean yung pag-actualize ng tubig would stop or it is invalid, no? Ang punto natin dito is that the universe may well be infinite. We may well be in the matrix. Okay lang sa akin kahit may kung totoo na may unmoved mover, no? Pero the point is yung beginning na yon is we still do not know what that is. Pero you cannot deduce God out of that argument. It is a fallacious argument, kumbaga. Tapos mayroon pa akong nabasa dito na tawag dito. Yun nga, lagi nilang sinasabi nga na deductive yung logic natin dito. Pero yung basis natin kasi is is coming from the inductive reasoning na yung phenomenon natin today is the same as the phenomenon in the beginning, which commits the problem of induction. So, in the end, hindi mo pa rin pwedeng i-deduce kasi the principle of deduction, kailangan you have eliminated all that is para masabi mo na yung final form is the real one. Is this the logically true one? The fact na hindi pa rin natin ma-eliminate yung possibility na the universe may be infinite or there we must be in the matrix, ganon, proves that we cannot deduce God itself as the cause, no? And kung dadagdagan ko pa, yung premise 17 to 49 ni Fesser is also unsubstantiated kasi internal lang naman yung mga characteristics ni God na nilalagay niyang all powerful, all perfect, all knowing, and then magiging self-contradictory pa siya. So ang inuulit ko kanina, the characteristics themselves must be comporting with reality in order for it to be true. Otherwise, internally consistent lang yung logic mo, sound lang siya, but it's not realistic.
Okay.
So, may I respond or no?
No, of course, open discussion to, of course.
So, my response to that is this. Though we may not have 100% certainty, that the laws of logic, as it is now, is also back then. I still really think that it is irrelevant, because
10 more minutes, 10 minutes.
we are talking about something now wherein the laws that works now are those that work now. So at this very moment, my contention is at the current laws of logic, without looking at the first cause, because in a sense of time, in a sense of some first cause of some of the universe through a big bang, that is the argument that is not relevant, that is not essential. It has been explicitly denied as essential by Fraser, by Aquinas, and so on. So my question, my point is this. Also, as to the second, as to the second point, that maybe the purely actual actualizer, if such exists, maybe that is a universe. But as I have said, the universe undergoes change, and undergoing change, there is some potential to it, and having potential, it is not really actual. That just follows deductively. That follows reasonably, and I think that disqualifies the universe itself or anything else that undergoes change to be that unactualized actualizer. And it is not special feeling, as I said, because we are not just presupposing that it is God that is the unactualized actualizer, and then say that because God is an actualized actualizer and an actualized actualizer exists, therefore God exists. That is a strong man. That is a strong man of the argument. What we are saying is this: that if change occurs, a purely actualizer should exist. We do not know yet if that is God or not. Then the stage 2 then shows that such a purely actualizer has to be God. So there's no circular reasoning. There's no presuming the conclusion. The premise is there.
Mark Steven, mukhang nandun sa premises 17 to 49 yung contention natin, no? Kasi tulad nga ng sinabi mo kanina, there could be a purely actualized actualizer based on the premises. There could be not. Pero yung extension ng buong premises proves that there must be a purely actualized actualizer. So siguro doon tayo mag-focus doon sa premises 17 to 49 in which dinefine ni Fraser yung si God as perfect, immutable, immaterial, ganon. Kasi there are a lot of contentions to that siguro hindi natin matatakel in another hour or so. Moderator, pwede ba tayong mag-extend up to an hour more?
I think para sobra na yan. At saka to butt in, kung pwede.
Sige,
may
sige.
question kasi. So ito, this question was sent by Arvin Malabanan.
Sure.
Isa siya sa mga warriors na siguro sa 20% na theist dito sa chat, sa live chat. So
That's
isa
good
siya sa
kasi
naglalaban.
it makes the conversation going, kumaga entertaining ang comment section, kumaga.
So ngayon, ang kanyang question is may dalawang question siya.
Sige.
First question is, induction ba ang ginagamit para malaman natin ang principle of causality according to Aristotle or Dr. Edward Fesser? Dr. Edward Fesser. Induction ba raw ang ginamit?
No, teka, baka hindi ako naintindihan ni... Ande, okay na ba?
Okay na.
Yun. Hindi maayos yung pagkaka-form ng tanong kasi ang pinakapunto ko nito is that within Aristotle's argument itself, no, there is an inductive type of reasoning in which that mukha siyang hindi inductive kasi ginawa niyang absolute yung statement. Ang sinasabi niya is teka. Kung hahanapin ko ulit yung premises, wait lang Ayun, tawag dito. No actualize can no potential can be actualized unless acted upon by an actualizer, no? That is an absolute statement and hindi siya substantiated, galing lang siya sa inductive reasoning, which is lahat ng na-observe natin is actualized. Yun yung pinupunto ko when I said that merong inductive reasoning dito sa premises na to, which makes the whole deductive reasoning dependent or nagdedepende sa isang assumption, no? Yung premise number 4, no potential can be actualized unless something already actualizes it, the principle of causality.
Okay.
Si Mark Steven, may may response ba?
Sige, pwede.
I would a deduction from an analysis of change, because if something that is merely potential could be, if premise 4 is false, no? If it is false, then potency itself can be enough to raise itself to actuality, meaning there is no need of something already actual to actualize it. But the problem is, we know that as from observation and even from analysis of potency itself, that potentials do not just raise themselves to actuality without an actualizer, because, for example, it has the potency has already been there, even without the actualizer yet. But it will be a miracle, no? Why such a potency has not yet been actualized, and it still waits for an actualizer for it to be actualized, if it is true that potentials can be actualized without an actualizer, which means it is false.
Yeah, ang pinaka keyword nga nun, Mark Steven, is yung sinabi mo kanina, ikaw na mismo nagsabi, which is from observation. Unless you deny the fact that we are faulty human beings with a limited understanding of the universe, you have to substantiate that yung observation mo is true on all aspects of the present, of the past, and of the future, and also on the beginning of the universe. I still contend my statement that we still cannot know for sure if premise number 4 is absolutely true.
Oh. So, sandali lang. Parang walang questions kasi na nanggagaling sa atheist. So, ayoko namang lumabas na parang pinagtutulungan namin si Sir Mark.
No, that's okay. Okay lang yun.
Kasi halos lahat ng questions dito from theists. So, atheists, huwag kayong matakot mag-send ng questions.
Kung wala pa,
And
pwede ako
personal
magtanong
question-
kay... sige, may question pa ba sa akin?
Personal question ako. Since na-bring up mo yun, Sir Mark, kanina na about yung what if simulation lang tayo, di ba? Alright, so kung sinasabi mo, yung nasa isip ko kasi yung parang yung computer analogy I hope familiar ka dun. Na parang nasa isang game tayo, avatars tayo sa isang game.
Yes.
Character tayo sa Run Online or Cabal Online. Ang meaning mo ng reality doon is, siguro pag may nakita akong monster na level 13 dyan, ang kita mo rin dyan sa computer mo is level 13 monster din. So that's reality between us. Am I right?
Hindi. Ang pinakapunto ko doon, and maganda yung game analogy mo, no? Sige, gamitin natin analogy yung Run Online, no? Sa Run Online, merong although di pa ako nakalaro nun merong mga phenomenon doon that cannot exist dito sa real world natin, no? Pero internally, because the game has rules, it has to be there and it has to be consistent. Otherwise, imbalance yung game at ipapatch to ng mga developers, tama ba?
Yes.
So yun yung sinasabi ko kay Mark Steven, no? Na the entire universe of Run Online may be consistent, and kung nandun ka sa universe na yun, all that you would know is that the rules of the game itself. Kailangan mong umalis palayo dun sa game na yun into another reality, the outside reality, para makita mo yung another set of logic, science, and mathematics na nag-govern sa outside reality. Yun yung uncertain dito sa ano natin. Dito sa kuha natin. And yun
Alright,
yung
I
yun.
get it. So,
Oo.
sinasabi mo na, it's impossible to perceive ontologically objective na mga
Yes, that's
bagay
exactly right.
through
Through pure
uh,
observation.
pure observation or epistemology
Because
ng human
you
brain.
would invoke the problem of induction using that. And if I may say, no, kung yung mga theists ina-accuse ang mga atheists na nagre-rely kami sa problem of induction para pagkatiwalaan ng science, kadalasan kasi ginagamit 'to ng mga creationist, no, para i-justify na yung carbon dating nyo nagsasabi ganito ganyan na yung universe is old, pero alam nyo ba na yung phenomenon ng carbon dating is consistent today, to the past, to the present, to the future. Yun yung nilalaban nila. So the problem of induction is so important that it demands uniformity. Kumbaga, na hindi ma-justify ng theist. How can you say that yung Aristotelian physics, Newtonian laws natin is applicable sa beginning of the universe para mag-argue tayo within that?
Okay. Alright, I understood. So, Sir Mark, Mark Steven, any response to that?
Okay. So the main question here already becomes whether if that you may concede that the argument is sound, but if it is sound, are we 100% sure that it has ontological basis in reality? That is, I think.
Yeah. That's my point. That's my point. Yes.
Let me begin with the thesis. The thesis is that it makes the belief, the Aristotelian argument, makes the belief in God's existence reasonable. Diba? So as far as the best inference we can have, we can reduce it to an inference, even if it is actually a deduction. No? But if you just reduce that to an inference, induction, that still gives us rational basis for belief in the existence of God. Why? Because induction is basic. For example, in the sciences, we observe certain regularities and we abstract from the similarities of those observed realities, and then we make a rational inference that such and such is the case. No? We observe and then we conclude, and we do that by induction. We cannot just attack induction per se. We can just invalidate induction and say that is sufficient ground to say that the Aristotelian argument in God reasonable, without also compromising the whole scientific enterprise, because the whole scientific enterprise and even philosophical enterprise is resting on maybe not the whole, but as a big part of it, a big chunk of it is resting on induction. So I think it would be special pleading to just apply that very high standard of evidence to be actually 100% certain without involving any induction to just this argument, and just not use that bar to the sciences, and even some philosophical beliefs that you hold. So that would be my response.
All right. So I think I'll give the last chance kay Sir
Sige.
Mark to respond. I think nagsa-step out na tayo sa ating topic kasi.
Don't worry.
Siguro,
last response to Mark Steven, and I'll give him credit for that, for that statement, ang pinagkaiba nga lang, tama ka Mark Steven, tama ka, the whole of scientific enterprise rests on the principle of induction, unfortunately ang pinagkaiba nga lang is science hindi siya nag-claim kasi ng absolutism, ang science kasi is ever changing based on the current observation, nangyari yan nung classical physics na nabanggit ni Lord Kelvin ng England, na lahat na pwedeng nadiskubre na, which is obviously false, nung medieval times pa nila sinabi yun. But then came Albert Einstein and changed everything with his view of theory of relativity, no? So that goes to show, no, na science admits fully the problem of induction and it changes accordingly, no? The only problem is Fesser's argument argues for absolutism, no, that there can only be one answer, and that is God. So yun lang naman yung problema, pero generally Mark Steven, tama ka doon.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay, at least alright, to end this, sa bagay-bagay, no, we may disagree on some things or on some major things that is or ideas dito sa mundo, but one thing's for sure, we agree for a healthy discussion, walang trolling sana na mangyayari. That's why we're making this happen, to promote intellectual discourse, rational discourse, and respectful discourse sa isa't isa. So, I hope nag-enjoy yung mga viewers at saka yung mga debaters. I hope we can do it again next time. Maraming salamat sa inyo, Mark Steven at saka Sir Mar.
Thank you.
Thank you rin sa opportunity.
Thank you, Sir Mar.
Thank you, Mark Steven. Thank you.
Alright, so again, this is Diskurso Pinas page. Please follow it. Sa mga gustong mag-debate about abortion, ethical issues, social issues, politics, religion, science, pwede natin yung i-cater. So, yeah, abangan nyo ang siguro sa reaction or sa podcast ni Sir Mar. Mag-react siya on some points in this video. And of course, siguro si Sir Mark Steven. Alright, thank you sa lahat ng nakinig. See you again next time. Magandang gabi.
Thank you.